Secret remake or secret ripoff? No, in all seriousness, I'm being playful with this labeling and not trying to call out the filmmakers for any of these films. Today's films are examples of movies that are heavily influenced by an older film and publicly acknowledged as such, or in other examples, having very clear thematic or story influence where a comparison can be drawn. Finally, something I'll do for each entry is give my verdict on which is my preferred film, the original or remake. With all of that in mind, here are 7 movies that are secret remakes. Starting off, we have Midsommar from 2019. American grad students visit a Swedish summer festival. Among them is a couple going through the dying days of a toxic relationship. While events unfold, the secret behind the festival comes to light, leaving nobody the same. I've mentioned something similar when talking about folk horror, but Midsommar is definitely a secret remake of The Wicker Man from 1973. First of all, some obvious comparisons. Folk imagery, including pagan festivals and costumes, as well as color design with bright greens and yellows. Focusing on the folk connections, we have that culture clash of people coming to a community with a completely different worldview. All of these elements are shared. But that's folk themes. Let's really dive deep. Both our main couple in Midsommar and Sergeant Howie in The Wicker Man are led to the island under false pretenses. Our male leads in both films are seduced by attractive blondes of the community. Yes, Howie doesn't go through with it as Christian does in Midsommar, but the element remains. Focusing on that final act, we end with human sacrifices connected to ritualistic burnings. Like I've said before, I thought it was tripping at how many obvious and overt comparisons there were between the two films. I far and above prefer The Wicker Man. For more thoughts on why I don't like Midsommar, I recommend my video ranking folk horror movies. Next up, we have Life Force from 1985. A team of deep space astronauts uncover alien humanoids in suspended animation. When they crash back on Earth, the true events are revealed as chaos erupts. The original in question is going to be the Hammer film Quatermass and the Pit from 1967. And I'll be honest, this is one of the entries on the list I didn't notice immediately myself, but on further thought and observation, the comparison is right there. Both films center around the discovery of alien life, with Quatermass having the discovery buried on Earth for millions of years, and Life Force having that discovery in deep space come crashing down to Earth. Both films result in alien invasion centered around London. We also have some core characters in both films having psychic links to the aliens. Barbara Shelley in Quatermass, and Steve Railsback in Life Force. This connection is overtly sexual in Life Force, while only slightly erotic in Quatermass because of the performance by Barbara Shelley. More connections can be drawn, namely, Life Force director Tobe Hooper's own admission that he was making a, quote, Hammer film. But the last one I will discuss is the final acts of both films. As I said, London alien invasion. Well, during such invasion, chaos erupts in the streets, leading to post-apocalyptic set design shared in both films and an epic final psychic battle to rid the world of the aliens. For preference, this one is more difficult. While Quatermass in the Pit is without a doubt a Hammer classic, and one I need to revisit, Life Force was immediately a film I loved, so in this case, I'll have to go with the remake. Next on the list is going to be Fright Night from 1985. A high school student accidentally learns a horrifying truth while looking through the next door window. His neighbor is a bloodthirsty vampire. This 80s classic, without a doubt, draws heavy influence from the Alfred Hitchcock classic Rear Window from 1954. And this is one of the lists where, honestly, Both are incredible, iconic films. Let's get that right. But comparisons. Its central premise, someone peeping into their neighbor's window, can be rightfully attributed to both films. Rear Window centers around an injured photographer witnessing what he believes to be the aftermath of a murder, with Fright Night taking things further, almost explicitly showing Charlie witness his neighbor murder a woman. One step further, both main characters are to an extent not believed initially before they are confronted by the villains of the story. Rear Window stops right around the time of the confrontation, whereas Fright Night uses this as the closing moment of the first act. That is where the comparisons end, as Fright Night goes full vampire horror, and for the second half of the film explore vampire hunting and trying to survive. Fright Night is actually a relatively recent watch for me, and Rear Window is a great film I have seen multiple times. Because of that, Rear Window is going to win this round, but I take nothing away from Fright Night. It was a worthy reimagining of the story for the 1980s. Next up, we have Smile from 2022. After witnessing an eerie and traumatic incident involving a patient, a therapist begins seeing disturbing, unexplainable things all around her. The first on the list with multiple originals for anyone who has seen all of them. I think you'll see the connections between The Ring from 2002 and It Follows from 2014 being pretty clear for Smile. All three center around a time-sensitive curse that is proving to have a very lethal and almost unbreakable kill rate. The Ring centers around a videotape and 7 days. It Follows focuses less on time and plays more with uncertainty. And finally, Smile combines the two with the 3-day clock and confusion about when or how you will die. Another connection, less egregious and more centered around its horror genre, is that all three films have female protagonists. Our protagonists all have some kind of trauma, and interestingly, this trauma is ramped up with each subsequent film. In The Ring, we have a woman raising her son following a nasty separation. In It Follows, we have a young woman dealing with the death of her father. And finally, in Smile, we have a woman whose mental health issues tie directly to witnessing her mother's death as a child. Cinematically, the influence on Smile is very evident, and for me, was painfully clear. While It Follows is itself a reimagining of The Ring, in a way, Smile is to me a blatant ripoff of both films, making far too many obvious comparisons. Ranked, I would put It Follows first, followed by The Ring as a close second, and in dead last, Smile. Kicking off the back half of the list, we have Jennifer's Body from 2009. Jennifer is a gorgeous cheerleader. When she is sacrificed in a satanic ritual, a demon possesses her body. Consumed by evil and hunger, her best friend must face off against Jennifer before it's too late. The first of two controversial entries, the original for this one is going to be Ginger Snaps from 2000. I call it controversial because I'm not the first to draw the comparison, even though I was able to pick it up pretty easily. For years it's been talked about, and writer Diablo Cody has famously shot down the comparison, claiming no influence from the earlier film. I have to respectfully call BS. Both films center around two teenage girls, sisters in Ginger Snaps and best friends in Jennifer's Body. One girl is turned into a monster, embracing and using her sexuality to lure in men, while the other, more timid girl slowly breaks out of her shell. Both see the boy that the timid girl is interested in be brutally killed and eaten by the monster. And finally, the last I will point out, though more exist, is both see the monster killed in a tragic way, culminating the character growth arc of our timid girl. For the influence to be denied so vehemently is to me such a shame. Both films are feminist classics of the horror genre, and for one to deny the other is the definition of irony. Preference-wise though, I'll have to side with Jennifer's Body, though this is the closest comparison on the list. Our runner-up is going to be The Northman from 2022. Prince Amleth witnesses his father brutally murdered by his uncle, usurping the throne. Decades later, the grown-up Amleth returns to seek his vengeance upon his uncle. What film could this possibly be a remake of? Well, before I give the answer, let me just say this is actually based on one of the most famous stories in the world. That story being the heavy inspiration for William Shakespeare's Hamlet. And what then is a famous adaptation of Hamlet and the Legend of Amleth? None other than Disney's animated classic, The Lion King, from 1994. I'm being both the cheekiest and the most accurate when I compare these two films as remake and original. Comparisons. Both films center around a prince exiled from their kingdom as a child, following the murder of their father by their devious uncle. Both see those childs go on a journey of self-discovery as they become men, and both see the return of that grown prince for revenge. Both also see young women aid a returning prince. Where the big difference comes is the target audience. The Lion King is a kids' movie, playing with adult themes, but showing things in a strictly PG way. While The Northman is a hard R, violent epic, filled with war scenes reminiscent of Game of Thrones. Possibly alienating half the audience, let me say that I prefer The Northman. I know, sacrilegious. But I was never a Disney kid. I've seen most of the classics, but they were never my thing. On the other hand, The Northman, while slow at times, is most definitely my kind of movie. Last film today, we have Body Double from 1984. Cheated on and out of work, struggling actor Jake catches a break when he is allowed to house sit a fancy apartment in the Hollywood Hills. Peeping on his gorgeous neighbor through a telescope, he becomes obsessed. When the same neighbor is murdered, Jake's investigation leads him to the seedy world of the adult entertainment industry. The one with the most influences, this film, like Life Force, was actually admitted to and planned as being inspired by not just one, but three Alfred Hitchcock films. Once more, we have Rear Window from 1954, but also Dial M for Murder from the same year, and Vertigo from 1958. For anyone who has seen those original three, I'm sure that plot summary I gave you seemed very much like an amalgamation of those films. And that's because it was. Director Brian De Palma created a homage to Hitchcock by taking the plot lines of all three and mixing them with similar themes as well. We have the voyeurism of Rear Window, the panic attacks and obsession of Vertigo, and finally, the plot to murder your wife as seen in Dial M for Murder. All of them are wrapped up into one central story while also ramping up the sex 1000%, fitting in with that contemporary 1980s. Body Double is an almost great movie, homaging three actually great movies. The original Hitchcock films it is influenced by are by far my preferred choices, and on a personal note, three of my favorite Hitchcock movies of all time. There we go. Let me know if you knew about any of these connections before. And going further than that, which do you prefer? Original or remake? Let's talk all about it in those comments below. While you're doing that, could you also like, share, and subscribe? It's been awesome seeing the audience grow day by day. And I'm here to announce it will be an in-depth review to a movie I really enjoy. So while you're commenting your thoughts about today's video, could you also drop some guesses? What movie do you think I'll be talking about? Or what movie would you like to see me dedicate a review to? Would love to hear it. And until then, what's your favorite scary movie?